Welcome everyone to our review special of Freaky. This is what we were going to do last week, but it didn't happen because Disney was like, here's all of everything. So we decided to make this its own review special. I'm Sparks Witty. With me as always is Ryan Eliopoulos.
It's me,
Brandon
Minneapolis. Yeah, I don't have kitties with me. What the hell?
Brandon T. McClure.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And
I love
Ben
chocolate.
Magnet. Ben Magnet.
I don't even have the energy to do a bad impression of Ben.
I love Oreos.
I wish I did. I could come up with like 5. Somebody tell me something that I would be gullible about and I'll do it.
Oh,
Gullible written on the ceiling.
The Dodgers
Damn it!
won the series or something. Oh, but they did. They
They did.
shoot next year.
That's my bit about this movie, because we're talking about a movie about body swapping. So we've all switched bodies, and
I love Jamie Lee
Oh,
Curtis.
I'm so tired. I didn't even get the joke.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Really?
that's okay, because I forgot all of your names halfway through the bit. So
It's okay. They're not right here and right there and right there.
no, they're not totally.
No.
Hi,
Don't
guys.
worry, we'll be happy to talk about
Yeah.
Freaky.
Hi guys, it's Freaky.
It is. Vince
It is.
Vaughn, Catherine Newton, other actors.
Other actors for sure. Catherine Newton now in Avengers Endgame, as we found out on Thursday.
Man, time travel's crazy, isn't it?
Wait, Ant-Man and the Wasp, whatever.
Yeah, she's gonna be in the new Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yes. So, what do we think about Freaky? Let's just get right into it. Initial thoughts. What I call you, Ryan Eliopoulos.
Go, Ryan. What'd you think of Freaky?
Thanks, Brandon. Freaky was good. I liked it. Yeah, actually, hold up. If I'm just gonna be Ryan, it's like I really liked it. It was fun.
It's actually no slight. That's actually not a bad impression of Ryan.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Ryan, real Ryan this time.
I liked it. I thought it was really fun. I don't think it breaks the boundaries of anything I've it's not, I wouldn't call it super original, but it's really fun and I like all the actors and I think the script's pretty tight. Overall pretty fun, good movie.
Sparks?
I think that unlike and there's going to be comparisons to Happy Death Day because it's the same director. I think unlike the time loop genre, which seems to be undefeatable somehow, the body swap one has had a lot of duds. And ones that are just like, they're okay. And I would put this above most of them that I've seen. I think this does it better and is more engaging and entertaining. This is a much better version of The Hot Chick with Rob Schneider.
Excuse me, that's
I know
American classic.
I know a lot of people make comparisons to Freaky Friday, but to me, like, it was a lot more similar to Hot Chick, just in the concept of like older adult man switches bodies with teenage girl living in adult man body, and all of it worked much better for me.
Also, Rob Schneider sucks. Sorry, I'm the one to tell everyone.
I mean, for sure. Like, that movie has its own problems, but like, just for example, like the Hot Chick has both the interaction where the girl best friend is getting attracted to the girl who is living in Rob Schneider's body as she is in the body. And then it also has her in Rob Schneider's body trying to be attractive to her boyfriend, which doesn't work. And this movie doesn't deal with that first one at all, because that's just gross and bullshit, but actually tenderly recreates her talking to the guy that she has a crush on in Vince Vaughn's body and makes the whole thing work in a really good way. So I think the movie knocks it out of the park as far as the genre. I can't think of many that do it much better than this.
Yeah, I didn't even think about The Hot Chick. I have seen The Hot Chick. I remember when it was on Stars back in the day. I used to watch that movie constantly.
So off the top of my head, there's 3 Freaky Fridays, and then there's Switch. I think is what it's called.
Ryan Reynolds.
With Ryan Reynolds and Jason Bateman, which was
Okay.
god awful. What a waste of talent.
What a shame.
So this is, and then Hot Chick, and then there's this, and I think this is probably the best.
I know there are multiple Freaky Fridays, but the only one I remember or associate with watching is the one with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan.
Sure, and that one's
it's a remake.
totally fine.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was a really good time. I think Vince Vaughn, no surprise, Vince Vaughn's great. When he really like gives it his all. He's really fun to watch, and I really like him when he does dramatic stuff also, which he used to do a lot in the 90s. So I was really happy to kind of see him do both, kind of be this menacing figure, whereas also being this really comedic figure. I like seeing that dichotomy of the two of him, and I thought that was just really fun. All in all, I think it's a good movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that Vince Vaughn's mostly been doing like a lot of straight things where he's just like kind of playing a dude. Not that he's doing a bad job of it, he's just not doing anything necessarily special either. I'm thinking of like Seberg, which came out earlier.
He was in a prison movie like last year, or a year before that.
And he was recently in Fighting with My Family, where he's just like the wrestling coach guy.
Season 2 of True Detective.
He's got a little bit of like his Vince Vaughn kind of humor, but that's like a very laid back. It's not like he's really engaging a lot with it. This was much more entertaining, I think, than he's been.
He's not doing his normal shtick like in Wedding Crashers, or you've seen his normal comedies where he's like bumbling and like I don't know, you do know, I don't know, you don't know. He's like he's playing a character. I think when he's the killer, you don't see him very much. To be honest, I don't find him very menacing as the killer. I don't think he's doing a lot. Where I think Catherine Newton is like horrifying when she's inhabited by his body. She's the terror of this movie. It's strangely not actually the killer Vince Vaughn.
I agree with that.
But Vince Vaughn being Catherine Newton is just a delight. It's just so fun. It's like when you think of Ant-Man and the Wasp when he switches bodies with Janet. It's just really solid, fun character stuff, and like Vince Vaughn is allowing himself to be a little silly. It's a lot of fun.
I would say I do enjoy Vince, like in the very beginning of the movie where we just like when Vince Vaughn kills his teenagers from the very beginning. It's like, okay, I'm getting Jason vibes. He's just like the simple, I have a mission. But it's not until the last scene with him and Millie when they're in their own respective bodies that I thought, okay, he can be a little scary. I thought
quickly. Can I speak on the opening sequence that you touched on, Ben, about the kills? I think all of those kills are really cool.
The wine bottle one is just goddamn.
In the opening, I was like, wow, these are really inventive kills that I haven't seen in this genre before. I'm really into this. Like the wine bottle one that we just talked about, like that is so cool. And then just like the spin, like pulling around the spear and then like onto the, I thought that was real cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Blumhouse is good. Like all of their low budget horror movies have unique and fun kills. Like I don't think I have to worry about Blumhouse when it comes to like decent horror, like schlock.
Well, it's like Happy Death Day. I think the first Happy Death Day and the second one also have really unique kills. I mean, a lot of them don't come from the killer; they come from her killing herself. But I think that's a lot of fun that when they, especially this director tries to like, what haven't we seen in this genre? And what you need in this genre are good kills, and we've seen many. So to kind of just be like, let's try something we haven't seen before is really difficult, and when they pull it off, I think it's really inventive and fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think just touching on what Ryan was saying, I think if the movie had a weak point, it's the killer identity. And I'll say like it's definitely weaker with Vince Vaughn. It's still a little weak with Catherine Newton. Like Catherine Newton's performance works, but like this killer has no
personality.
Like it's intimidating. It's fun to watch, but there's no person behind it.
Yeah, it's just like menace.
There's almost nuggets of it with Catherine Newton. Like I think my favorite scene with Catherine playing the killer is when she's tied to the chair and trying to get Booker on her side. Because that's like the most because I can accept that. I think that's the thing is like I can accept the killer not having much of a personality, but when the killer is being Catherine, I wish we got more of him just being crazy playful. And I wish there was more of that in this, and there really isn't. And I think the other thing is that I have no problem with it. It's entertaining to watch, but there's like a weird serendipity that I have a hard time buying about the killer conveniently killing everyone that picked on her.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, granted, like all those people are also interacting with her still because they still think she's her.
Yeah.
So I get that. But it's a little like killing the teacher felt like going out of your way, and also going out of your I'm trying to think of the right word, but like the standard target that he goes after as teenagers.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a stretch for him to kill the teacher.
Yeah,
The teacher one does. Sorry, Ben, go ahead.
No, actually, that was because I have a few like little nitpicks with this movie. Okay, more than a few, but that's one of them because in the very beginning of the movie, when the first teenagers get killed, they're explaining the story of the Blissfield Butcher, which is this guy goes around killing teenagers who are essentially like doing what teenagers do in horror movies, getting drunk, getting laid, and all the stuff having fun. And it's like, okay, so it's kind of like a Jason Voorhees situation where it's like you go to
debauchery. Sorry.
Yeah, debauchery. It's like engage in debauchery, you die. And I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. I kind of liked it how the shop teacher got killed because he was being a dick to Millie. At the same time, I was like, this guy is supposed to kill teenagers who are committing debauchery, and this teacher is just an asshole.
Maybe if the teacher like made a move on Millie or something, like that would give the killer more incentive. Not that you need more, like it's a slasher movie, right? But like I agree, like the teacher is like, it's a good kill. Like that's a hell of a
It's
but like kill. It seems like a detour of the plot almost.
Not only that, I think that it goes out of its way to make the teacher like almost over the line. And I do mean like over the line, like for either comedy or sincerely.
Yeah.
With how much he bullies her. Like it almost feels too forced, too shoved in to make us want to see him die, just to justify the killer's still kind of unmotivated murder of him later in the film for audience purposes.
That's what I wanted to say a little while back, is that the only kill that bugs me is the teachers. Because as far as if we look at the film from a narrative standpoint, this girl was almost murdered last night, and she came to school and she's acting funny. As far as anybody knows, she's in shock.
Yeah,
that's everyone's, which they say. But the teacher doesn't give a shit. He is overwhelmingly an asshole to her. There is no ounce of compassion or sympathy or humanity in this person. He is just there to be a bully, to be an obstacle, to get killed. That really bugs me in that death sequence, because I don't care about his death, even it's cool. Because I'm just like, well, you were set up to be dead in the beginning of the movie anyway. I don't care.
Yeah. I feel like they're going way too hard to be like the Umbridge who finally you get to see her comeuppance, essentially. Whereas in the Harry Potter films, I mean, you don't really see Umbridge get, what's coming. What's
that's far more realistic because she goes to politics.
Yeah, true. But because in Umbridge, the actress who played Umbridge is also a really good actor. And in this one, I'm just saying, wow, Cameron really became an asshole after the day off with Ferris, didn't he?
Yeah, Ferris really messed his life up, man.
I know, holy shit. But I feel like they're just going too hard because I know we all have that asshole teacher who we just despise, who felt like it was out to get us. This one, they just turned that up to 11, and it's like, okay, yeah, I know you're gonna die. You're just being this dick.
I almost thought that when the bodies swapped, like the teacher would become nicer, and he would actually be like, oh, is there actually something wrong? And I thought there'd be like a character thing, but it just doubled down. And I'm like, it's kind of just like generic slasher stuff. Yeah. And you were kind of doing something a little different, even if it was just killing kids.
I think that what feels weird is like, it's one of those rare times in a horror film. Emma's going to town in a box behind us. It's one of those rare times in horror films where you can feel the movie forcing you into a reaction. And you also see that reaction coming a mile away. So you just kind of want to get there and be done.
Yeah.
Instead of like feeling anything, like connecting with it in any real way, having any complex emotions related to it.
Yeah.
And that's just, it doesn't feel good. And I don't like being guided in that kind of way towards a conclusion. I think there is an amount where you could have had the bullying teacher and gotten his comeuppance and all that, but like this is the way that they handle it is just so across the line. And also, is he the boyfriend's dad?
Yes.
He is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because he says dad at that one point.
And he's like, yes,
it is
Dad,
weird that never comes up again.
Oh, I
feels
missed
like-
that.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said dick.
No,
I thought he said dick too.
No, she's yelling like he's yelling at her, and then he's like dad or something or something.
I
And
thought
then
he
she-
said dick in that point. I heard
No, he
dick.
said dad
I missed that.
because he's like right there, and I doubt he would say dick right to the teacher right.
Well,
there.
that's why the teacher reacts so strongly to the boyfriend. I thought because he says dick, and the teacher's like, "What was that?"
He's like
No,
something to add.
It's like stay out of it, basically. I think, and then yeah, I think there might have been like a deleted scene or something where like just more interaction between them because like. Yeah, I also thought like, oh, they're gonna have more stuff to do later, and then no.
I'm also not 100% committed to Die on the Hill. We both heard dad.
Yeah,
You guys both heard dick. Who knows? I'd have to watch it
either
again.
way. It's not relevant to the story. Which
I mean,
Right,
I'm
but
not-
like if it was dad, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
That just
yeah,
kind of
that's
went.
a big thing. 'Cause- I mean, okay, I know this is a movie. I know this is a movie about two people swapping bodies, so we have to throw realism out the window. But if the cops came out and investigated these murders, Millie's going to jail because her fingerprints were all over that death scene. Like in the
Wow,
first one with the popular girl who freezes in the whatchamacallit.
That's a cool death.
And-
I like that a lot.
Ben-
Cool death. But then the other guy
Ben-
comes and the killer's pushing all the buttons. This is
Okay.
just what?
There's nothing to investigate. They have a serial killer.
oh yeah,
Like
true.
they're not going to look for fingerprints or anything. They're just going to say the serial killer who we clearly saw
yeah.
did it.
Yeah, that's a good
like we're just all those deaths will just be on that guy.
Good.
I want to talk about the knife.
Sure.
So I really enjoy that he didn't have the knife at first. He found like the knife like called to him in that house. I did appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted. It's not a detriment to the film, but I wanted more of it. I wanted to know like what is the sacrifice for? Because we know that if the sacrifice isn't finished, the two people swap bodies. But then what's the sacrifice appeasing to? I wanted to know more about like where did the knife come from? What was the purpose of the knife? Where did like that sort of thing?
It not that this movie needs a sequel, but it very much feels like a Happy Death Day to You situation where they'll explain so much more about the world
Yeah.
later.
Yeah. The organization from the end of Happy Death Day 2 will get the knife and we'll learn more then.
Yeah. Yeah, because like when he uses the knife, they get like teleported to like a Mayan temple.
Like a Mayan
And
temple, yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, there's definitely some like shit with this knife. I am also interested, Brandon. Yeah, it is not like a detriment, like you said. It just makes you want to know, like, oh, what's going on there?
Yeah, I want to know
What
like
kind
what is the sacrifice for? Who are they trying to appease? Like, give me some more stuff. Let's go.
Is there like a god that we need to like?
I would
Oh yeah.
I would definitely rather, at least for this movie, be left with those questions than have those answers and probably be unsatisfied with them.
Yeah.
Because you won't they wouldn't have been relevant to the movie and unless they decide to shove something in, and I didn't need them to shove something else in.
Is it
no
like the
love.
end of
Fine as it is.
is
Huh?
it like the end of Cabin in the Woods where the giant hand is going to come up and like destroy the world and like what are we doing? Oh,
Yep,
let's go.
Yeah. Titans won.
Yeah, this is just I agree with you. Like it's interesting stuff. Like I'd like to know it. I definitely didn't need to know it in this movie.
Sure.
I think it works better without trying to expand its lore too far. Sometimes it's better to leave a mystery to it, especially for horror purposes.
Yeah, I thought the best friends were charming. they were likable teens.
They felt real.
Yeah.
They all Catherine Newton feels like the oldest in a big way. Like most of this cast actually feels like real teenagers.
Yeah.
Or close to. And their interaction where Vince Vaughn finally like gets to them and
Like
gets
in
them
the
to pay
kitchen?
attention.
Yeah.
In the kitchen and everything is my absolute favorite version of figuring that out that I've seen in movies or television or anything. Because like this trope happens all the time in TV. We didn't really talk about that, but this trope is rampant throughout television where someone is in someone else's body or looks like somebody else and they have to explain, oh, it's me. This is probably one of my favorite versions of that in anything I've seen where they're fighting and scared and she just breaks it up by doing the dance and then they just start like naming things that they would know about them. And it's just like, yeah, we're just moving through it. And Vince Vaughn sells it. Vince Vaughn sells the character. And that really, really worked for me. That worked for me really, really well. Because I believed that they believed and figured it out in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
No, one of the high point of this movie and the selling point in the movie, the reason why I was really looking forward to see this is Vince Vaughn playing a teenage girl and interacting with her friends as a teenage girl. The whole time Vince Vaughn or Millie was in Vince Vaughn's body, I thought it was hilarious. I really enjoyed it because you see Vince Vaughn as a killer and in the beginning and the end, but like the whole time in the middle where he is Millie, it was like the scene between him and the mom while Vince Vaughn's in the dressing room at the store is like it was like,
oh, that's a really sweet sequence.
It's a really sweet sequence, and even when she's like, "Oh God, I shouldn't have asked you out for coffee," she's like, "Well, I want to take you out for dinner, but I'm married."
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's just like up the awkward factor because it's very sweet about them connecting about Millie's dad who passed away, and then it's like, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I like that moment in the dressing room.
Yeah.
What you brought up there, like, I was thinking about when I was excited to watch this movie, and honestly, I was more excited about watching this movie because of who directed it than it was about like who was in it.
Yeah, because I haven't seen Happy Death Day, so this is the movie I know the director from.
Right. You heathen. Yeah, but I was thinking about what you saying, like what you were drawn to was seeing Vince Vaughn, and I realized that like I love Vince Vaughn in this movie. I think he's great. I think this movie works regardless of Vince Vaughn being the person playing the role or not. I mean, like, yes, you could get somebody who played it worse, and that would take away from it. But I do think it's just a good film, and it's really nice that Vince Vaughn is the person playing it. But I'm glad that it's not carrying itself on Vince Vaughn being in it.
It's a good script. It's like a decent script. Yeah.
Well, Vince Vaughn has the physicality to pull off the body swap really well, and other actors do. And you could have gotten like a Ryan Reynolds or Will Smith even could pull it off. But like I think Vince Vaughn it's one of those actors that can pull off this thing, and so him being there does help make this good movie work really well.
I agree with you. Two of the things about it is that Vince Vaughn is not who would have popped in my mind if you described the synopsis of this movie to me. It's not the actor I would have thought of for this. And like he wouldn't have been top of my brain. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was a good choice because of that. And my other point that I was just trying to make with it is that I don't feel like the script is built to serve the fact that it is Vince Vaughn playing it.
Sure. Yeah, they didn't write it for him.
Like it's not written to make it funny that this is Vince Vaughn playing it. It's just written to be good as it is, and then Vince Vaughn elevates the material. And I appreciate that because usually when you have a smaller budget horror movie that gets a name actor like Vince Vaughn is to come in and do it, you will get a script that tends to like alter itself to play up the fact that we have Vince Vaughn in this. Yeah. I'm thinking of like Tusk with Johnny Depp. When Johnny Depp shows up in Tusk, the script really like just hams up and practically changes the tone of the film.
It turns into a weird detective movie.
To play with the fact that they have Johnny Depp in the movie.
He shows up in 2 other of Kevin Smith's movies too.
Yeah.
How strange.
Their daughters are best friends, aren't they?
Yeah, that's exactly why.
Yes.
We talked about it briefly, but the scene between Vince Vaughn and the boyfriend in the car.
Yeah.
So good.
So sweet. And just
like, just
get it to your work. Just, kiss that dude. Hell yeah.
I watching that sequence, I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work. By the end of the sequence, I was like, I'm really glad this worked.
Yeah. It's like a nice little, just like, yo man, it's 2020. Just like this guy likes this girl no matter what she looks like. And I'm like, that's sweet. And then I get some make out action. I'm like, oh no, it's the can't. It's a little weird.
While I think the kind of character of the killer is not well defined throughout the film, whether it's Vince Vaughn or Catherine Newton playing it, though certainly Catherine Newton I think gets more material to play with. Mm-hmm. Her main character is and does feel defined and consistent between their 2 performances.
Yes.
And I think that's a credit to both of them that like I can see where Catherine Newton is playing the timid girl before and the kind of changed girl after, and it still feels like the same person. And Vince Vaughn does a good job covering the arc in between.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sold on Vince Vaughn. I'll admit I was nervous in the first scene when he wakes up in the place with the guy who bought drugs.
Oh yeah.
I was like, that scene in particular, for no particular reason I can put my finger on, felt very reminiscent of when Rob Schneider first does it. When he first, like, it felt very like, oh, we're going weird, we're going on a weird route. This might not play. But when Vince Vaughn is going through the town and bumps into the lady and just starts screaming because she's screaming, and then takes off running in his weird way, I thought that worked really well. I also thought that they did a really good job of constantly using the humor of him being so tall and her not being aware of how to move in his body because he's so tall and constantly hitting things. Yeah.
I like in the bathroom. I found it really funny when he's just like, it's like a floppy anteater.
Oh yeah, and it's just like, look, guy. Yeah.
I mean, going on Spark's point, where like Millie and Vince Vaughn's body is like, I can't believe I'm so tall. This is weird. But also when they find out that the serial killer is also really strong. Like, you see the bully who does like the barking, and then they're in the bathroom, and he comes out. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir," and he just like picks him up. He's like, "God, I'm so strong," and it essentially just scares the kid so much that he pees his pants. It's like, oh wow, I could do stuff now. This is cool. Like, see, and even in the car when Millie mentions about it, it's good to be.
Can you move your seat up? Can you move your seat up a bit more? Just a bit more.
Teensy bit more. Hey man, he's like 6'5". I get it. It's still.
Yeah, yeah. I like that stuff too. I forgot what I was gonna say. I have a thing. Did I write it down? I didn't.
I like how all the, and for some reason it was like very, I don't know what the word is. I don't enjoy seeing people die, but the ones who deserve it, like that one, that jock, when Killer Millie, Booker, and the three other jocks are at the mini golf course, essentially playing hooky, and that one touches Millie's butt, and then she says those words, and it's like, oh, she wants me, and it's like, you're gonna die,
man. Your touch makes this pussy drier than sandpaper.
That's
and the guy hears that, and he goes, "Oh, she wants it." And I'm like, bro, and that's
was
the
sickest burn.
That was a great line, and I'll be honest with you, I was bummed that his response to it was, "She wants it." I'm like, no, man, she just roasted your life. Like, you have to go home and think some things over. It's like a girl said that to you, your whole life just changed perspective a little bit. You got to at least live with that for a day.
That is the moment where it cuts, where it's like, where it freeze frames goes, "Hello, darkness, my old friend."
Now, see, because that's the thing, is if he'd heard it, gone home for the day, and then he shows up at the party later, and he's like, "I thought about what you said," then I'd be like, no, I get it. Like, that makes sense. But him just like hearing it in the moment and going, "Yeah, she wants it." I'm like, no guy would hear that sentence and feel that way about it.
Just in denial.
It's the typical macho high school a-hole who thinks he's hot shit when in
I don't care. I agree with.
It is the typical movie version of it, but it is not the typical truth version of it.
Right.
Here's the thing. I agree with Sparks. If anybody heard that, I don't care how macho you think you are. If anybody heard that, you need to go home.
Yeah.
Like, you need to excuse yourself.
You gotta put some ointment on that burn.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just roll that one off. It doesn't work that way. Especially not if you are in the context of like being this jock character. And yes, the girl looks more attractive now. She's hot, and so she stands out to you more. But up to this point, you've thought she's a nothing. So her being able to just trash you would not have your guard up or anything. Like, you're done. You go home. You're done for the day.
It kind of like goes back to what we brought up a little bit earlier. I kind of wish that she had more fun as the killer. Like I kind of wish she played off the flirtatious thing, like especially when the popular girl, like kind of like, oh, is she a lesbian? I kind of wish that Killer Millie would like play off that idea and like, you know, use the seductive ways in some ways. Like I just wanted her to feel like she's having a bit more fun in this new body, like she was re-energized to be a killer or something, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
There's also like it's not that I want like this movie to do a critical breakdown of this, but there is like a sense of real comfortability that the killer has with gender fluidity. Being very comfortable changing into this teenage girl's skin, being very comfortable putting themselves in positions to flirt with young men. That's an interesting concept that certainly could have been played with a little bit more. Not necessarily like broken down and analyzed in the film, but like
a little
present.
Like I would say like a flashback or something, just like something to give you more insight into who the killer is. But I don't even think that. I don't think you need it.
I think it's a lot of what Brandon's saying. Like that when the killer gets to the school, it doesn't need to go right to the kill. There can be a lot of weird flirtation. There could also have been weird flirtation with girls too, like the girl who thinks that she's coming on to her before she gets put into the ice box that no public high school would ever have. Are you kidding me?
Must be a rich ass high school,
right?
Again, I think it's not like a super problem, but yeah, when we focus on it so much, like the people that are murdered are all people who directly talk to Millie. Is this a little too, like you said, a little too coincidental?
Until the end with the jocks, which are like people who talk to the killer version of Millie.
Yes, but like all the stuff at school, like it should have been more random people, I think, instead of like again, like wow, these are all the people that Millie had a problem with. What how fortunate.
See, I get the popular girl, because the popular girl goes directly to her and like, tell me everything, because you're going to be hit now. I'm going to be huge because I know you. I get that, but after that, I kind of feel like it should have been more random.
The teacher really is the straw too far.
Yeah.
I don't mind like the jock people later, mostly because subtextually they are saying something about like really gross toxic masculinity and how it is. And that's really nice, and I'm glad that's there. I wish they had something more to say about it than just like, this exists, but they picked the wrong bitch. Like, I wish that there was something more to say than that.
Yeah.
But there isn't in this film, and I feel like there would have been room for that as well. It's a perfectly entertaining film. I think it's just like you know that there's these things that could have been explored more, but I also appreciate that they explore other things, like everything with Vince Vaughn being the character of her, going through what she's going through, talking to her mom at the store, talking with her friends, getting close to Booker. All of that is done so well. All those other things are kind of ancillary, and that's kind of the weird thing, is like this movie's really not about the killer. And you're watching the killer a lot because it's a body switch movie, so you have to watch the other body too, or it's not entertaining enough. But it's not about that character, and like the character isn't given much more than like not Freddy, but barely more than Michael, like Michael Myers. Honestly, there's not a ton to flesh out in there.
For being a like a notorious serial killer, like he just wears like a gray sweatshirt. Like it's there's no like there isn't like a distinct personality for the killer, which like,
and he didn't even have the mask. He took the mask when he got to that house.
Also the dagger.
Right. But
So,
I mean like it's not even like that was a part of his whole gimmick before. He was just a dude in black sweats.
And it's not like you need to make like another, like, I know Happy Death Day created like the baby killer or whatever. I don't think they want to try to create a new serial killer for every movie to make him like big and boast and like grand, but a little something would have been nice, I guess.
Yeah.
I
was just gonna say, I mean, like you think of like Hellfest.
Yeah.
That dude has a really simple plain mask, and he's just wearing like seriously like black pants and a black hoodie. But that becomes very effective.
It's also relevant to the story.
Yeah, and it feels distinct because of the way that they handle it, the way they frame it, the shots that they choose. Vince Vaughn wearing the mask in the beginning, and his clothes just feel like cavalier choices rather than, you know, I've thought about my actions as a killer and this is how I want to look choices.
Because as I was watching this movie, now with I don't need a reason why the killer does things, although it is nice to have it. And as I was watching this, I was like, why does the killer only kill teenagers who are doing debauchery, who are doing things they're not supposed to do? It's like I want to know more about the killer.
I don't think
anymore.
I don't think the debauchery I think the thing in the beginning is just more of a nod to the slasher genre. I don't think he has gone out of his way to kill kill teenagers who drink and have sex and do drugs before. I think he just kills teenagers. I think that's just his modus operandi.
Huh.
And one woodshop teacher.
And one woodshop teacher.
Because he could.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when the killer first wakes up in Millie's body and Millie or Killer Millie is like, oh, I haven't spoken. Okay, Killy. And as Killy's like, hey, I haven't spoken, because it's obvious that this person hasn't spoken to anyone, like really spoken to someone in God knows how long. And even when they first eat the pancakes, they're all like going, rah, 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 rah. It's like,
yeah, there's no going back to Sparks' point about the him being pretty comfortable with gender fluidity. There's no like exploration of the body scene that you often get with body swap films, especially gender swap films.
It's just
there's a bit, but there's not. But she does more in his body than he does in hers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll defend that to say that I think that the gender fluidity problem would be even more problematic if there had been that. It's the fact that there isn't that makes me think, you know what, it's entirely irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
to the killer, which kind of justifies why it's not explored more in the rest of the film. If they had made a bigger thing out of the like my body kind of thing, then I would question more the lack of exploration with the material later. But they give the impression that the killer's just kind of like dope. And that's it. And that's all he processes about it. And he's like, great, I'm young again. I can get away with shit even more easily than I could before. Perfect.
It's like, oh wait, I'm going to school. I could do this. It's like, oh, it's like that's a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's the fox in the hen house.
We didn't talk about the family.
Well, we kind of talked about the mom with the store scene, but you're right. I wanted to get to the sister because the sister is
the cop
underserved, and I almost start to question her relevance in the film.
Sure,
it gets close. Like it almost feels like she just is there as a person to save her.
I kind of forgot the cop sister was a character until just now, so I think that tells you everything you need to know.
I think that's the problem is because she's not really a character as much as she is.
It's like a foil in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like she's not an antagonist, but like she's like the cop conservative sister, and like she shows up. Yeah, she shows up and kind of saves the day.
She shows up and saves the day twice, and that's really all she's there for. Because at the end, she's the one who kind of like who turns the tide on the killer when he's in the house.
Yeah. I mean, I guess she's necessary for the story, but they probably could have weaved her in a little better than just she shows up after work.
She shows up and yells at the mom, and then does something useful every hour.
Well, I mean, like if you extend the context out to include her when she's Vince Vaughn talking to her mom, then she has interactions with her mom, and there's very little material of her interacting with her sister.
Yeah, sure.
That relationship is not explored. It's not clear. I wish it was, because it's like they didn't even really think about what that relationship was enough to consider why Millie wouldn't even have a discussion about not going to her sister once they knew the knife was there.
Yeah.
And trying to
instead of doing that scheme.
And then just trying to get her to recognize the same way they've gotten Booker and the other two to know that it's her. That to at least have her listen through it.
I wonder
which there would have been solutions for and ways to do.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a case of doing that shtick too many times, though. Because like you had that great scene in the kitchen where like you have to discover, oh, I'm Millie, blah blah blah. Then you'd have to do it again for another set of characters.
I get what you're saying, but like in each context, you kind of have to do it differently because for one, it was the dance to get their attention and then naming a bunch of favorite things. For the other, it had to be the poem that she wrote, which was very heartfelt and everything. For this one, they'd have to be more creative with it, like hiding Vince Vaughn behind something at first, so he's saying things that could only come from her, and then steps out so that she gets it. And it can be something where and like that could have been something where you're building on that family dynamic, but that would require you to define their relationship prior to that moment in the movie, which is part of my point is that there's a blind spot of not really acknowledging what their relationship is. We have no idea how close they are. clearly it can't be that close because she didn't feel confident enough to try and get her sister to be aware of it, which I would if I was on a time limit.
Yeah.
To get that knife because that's the safer way of doing it.
Yeah.
Instead of sneaking into a police station or whatever. Yeah.
I think I'm good. How are we feeling?
Oh, good.
Feeling good. Feeling freaky.
Honestly, like even one other thing that I would have liked is if they'd found a way to like, she knew her sister had like a weak ankle or some shit like that, just so we know that there's some kind of like advantageous connection work there. But it's like that could have been any cop in that scene, you know?
Yeah.
When they get to the prison, it doesn't feel like it needed to be her sister.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And I think that scene in particular stands out to me because I think that's the scene the sister has the most play with interacting with the main cast, where I'm like, it doesn't even really matter that you're the sister. And it should. It feels like it should.
Yeah.
And I really wonder how they like got her to recognize why these teenagers were running around with Vince Vaughn later. What they were doing without justifying that in the moment, because once it's over, like, how do you prove that shit?
Okay. Should we rate it?
Yeah.
Rate them and weep.
I would give it. I'm gonna go first this time. Give it a. Look, I'm teetering between a 7.5 and an 8.
That's exactly where I'm at, Brandon.
Yeah.
7.5 feels too low, but 8 feels like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm right. I'm with you.
I think I'll still give it a 7.5. It's still a fun movie. I'll probably watch it again maybe next Halloween, but it's I mean it's good. It's not like, oh my god, this movie. To me, this one isn't 2018. I mean, it's obviously not 2018 Halloween, but 2018 Halloween, I walked out of there thinking, man, that was a great movie. Whereas this one's like, yeah, it's fun. It's a good time.
So Ryan, 7.5 and an 8, like me.
I'm just gonna give it the 8 because I want to be more positive than negative. So I'm gonna give it an 8.
Sparks?
8.5. It's, well, you know, like, I know I've said a lot of things to like criticize it and all, but first off, I don't think the movie ever misleads me to make me think it's trying to go for those kind of things and like is missing the point. It's mostly there just to be entertaining and fun, and I think it completely succeeds at that. I just feel like there was opportunity to explore a lot of those other things we're talking about. And so it has a few shortcomings, but like I said, I also think it's probably the best of its genre type that I've seen. And that puts it pretty high on the heap for me. I will have a good time watching it again. I had a good time watching it when I did. I have very little to complain about realistically.
Okay. So that'll do it for this review special of Freaky. Stay tuned for what is probably up at the same time our Crudes and New Age review special. Am I correct in assuming that Sparks?
Yeah, it's finals week. I don't even know. I've been up for 25 hours.
Hell yeah.
If this comes out, do you think this will be out by the end of the week?
Whenever you want it up, baby.
Okay, well, but if it's up by the end of the week, we got one more episode of our main podcast, the Fake Nerd Podcast, for the year, not forever, for the year, where we are going to be talking about another movie. We're going to be talking about Tenet. And of course, stay tuned for our holiday annual that will be dropping on Christmas Day, where we are going to be talking about other movies. We got a lot of movies to talk about in the next couple of weeks.
Well, we took the summer off for movies, so it's about time we talk about some.
That is true. And that's pretty much it. Last week we did most of the Disney and video game news that happened that last week. So check that out if you want. That's up now. We got other shows on this channel. We got Fake Nerds Watch, which is our main series where we're doing The Mandalorian. We're one more episode of Mandalorian. That's exciting.
I'm excited.
For us and for the show, interestingly.
Yeah.
And then we have our other show, Basement Arcade, which is probably off for the rest of the year. And Victor Book Club, which is probably also off for the rest of the year.
The year's over, baby.
The year is over. It's got 2 more weeks, 3 more weeks. 2 more weeks. Who cares?
Yeah, whatever.
So stay tuned for more stuff coming to us from the near future, for the end of the year, for next year. You can't stop this train, guys. I'm BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. Ben?
I'm Ben Magnet, Ben Magnet27 on Instagram and Twitter.
You say it every week. You got to know it by now.
Yeah, I do say it every week. You think I
wait, I did it wrong. You're supposed to be Ryan. No, whatever. Ryan?
You can find me at DJ Tony Snark everywhere.
Sparks.
You can find me crying in front of my computer at Sparks Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
All right, subscribe to us everywhere. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel. Can find us on Fake Nerd Podcast on all of the socials, fakenerdpodcast.com. This is the ticker below. I'm sure it's in the description below. Until next time you see us, and next week and next year, stay fake nerds. I was just thinking about 28 Days Later the other day because Zara hasn't seen it. I'm wondering if they're ever going to make 28 Years Later.
Wouldn't it be months?
It would be months.
Yeah.
No, it's 28, 28 weeks later. You're right. So it would be 28 months later.
Yeah, because they did 28. The sequel to 28 Days was 28 weeks.
Or they could wait 28 years and then make the movie 28 years later.
Yeah, but it
Then
would
they
feel
would just,
weird
then
if
they
you
just
went.
reboot it.
It would feel weird if you went 28 days, 28 weeks, 28 years, and everybody would be like, "Where's 28 months?"
If there's the missing sequel. Oh, we got
And then they have to make like a Rise of the Lycans to go in there.
Get Michael Sheen. 2 kitty cats.
Oh man, Rise of the Lycans. That's where I dropped off with the Underworld franchise. I never saw Rise of the Lycans.
It's good. That one's better than 2. No, it's not.
I remember liking
Better than
2.
3?
No, isn't 3 Rise of the Lycans?
No, I mean like the standard 3. So 4, whatever.
I don't even know. I didn't see the newest one. I know that.
That
I
was
didn't see
fun.
that either.
So, I got 2 cats on my lap.
That must be the best.
I remember wanting to see Rise of the Lycans because I was impressed that
Michael Sheen's in it.
that they got Bill Nighy to come back
Oh yeah. Hey man,
because I didn't think they could.
everybody loves money.
Everybody
But I
has a
also
pool.
am like, I struggle to understand how that movie could be more complex than the flashbacks we got in Underworld.
It's not. It's just.
It's like getting Bardock the werewolf movie.
It's like when you see X2 and you see Wolverine's origin, you're like, wow, that's pretty sick, and then you actually see it, it's not as sick. It's like that. It's like they flesh out those flashback scenes,
Yeah.
and it's a good movie.
But they also like find a weird way to like incorporate a girl who looks just like Celine.
Yes.
But isn't Celine.
Yes, it's literally like it's like a Noxamon or whatever.
Yeah. Underworld.
Freaky.
You know what? I think I'm going to do an Underworld marathon one of these days.
One day I would like to go back because I remember that second movie being young enough where I'm like vampire, werewolf, and then there's a big dragon, like vampire man. Sick.
I remember being a young lad and freaking out at the concept of a werewolf vampire hybrid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That could only
me too.
be made by specific bloodlines. And I'm like, he's like the Super Saiyan of the Underworld.
Scott Speedman. Yeah.
There's a lot of fucking like you could make a lot of Saiyan analogy for the first couple Underworld films, and then you lose it. But prior to that point,
Vampire.
not fucking around. Like Rise of the Lycans is 100% just a werewolf vampire Bardock.
100%. Even gets like someone gets sacrificed at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's the Saiyans rising up against their Frieza vampire ruler.
No, I will have none of it.
They need the full moon for transformations. It's all there.
Son of a bitch.
Freaky.
Okay.
I just watched the YouTube video with Joe Manganiello. Did you know that dude's D&D group includes Vince Vaughn and the Big Show from the WWE and like a 2-time black belt like world champion, and like he just brings people in for his big D&D groups, like these huge things, and I'm like, wow, this is like a lot of fun. And I just see Vince Vaughn there like rolling dice, and I'm like, yeah, you nerd.
I've seen his setup because he showed it on Colbert.
Yeah.
And it's rad. And I always love the Colbert interview because he called out Vin Diesel. When he's just like, Vin Diesel, do you play with Vin Diesel? Yeah, I heard Vin Diesel plays.
not in the groups I play.
I don't know anybody who's played with him though.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Whoa."
Hey man, Vin Diesel gets all the video game roles and all the nerdy stuff. He gets his own D&D movie made.
I think there's 2 important like distinctions to that. One, I don't think he plays. I think he played.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
just likes fantasy shit.
right, and then the other part of it is that Vin Diesel is totally the kind of fucking guy who would be like, I'm not gonna be part of that party. Kind of fucking
like
I'm not enough family over there.
Yeah,
I'm the only-
Keep it private,
He's
keep it for the
go
family.
mention one of those motley crew of players and go, yeah, I don't want to be a part of that
So
group.
is Vin Diesel the evil D&D group that would be the Fast Six evil?
They're the
No,
they're
he's
the
not.
Cobra Kai.
He's not evil. He's just introverted.
Yeah. The Game of Thrones creators, one of them was there, and then he was texting the other creator, and Joe Manganiello was like, hey man, we don't like phones, we like to keep them all. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking to my work wife, and he really wants to come. And I thought that was really funny. So then he allowed him to come on. Then 2 Game of Thrones dudes were Dungeons and Dragons. That's fun.
Maybe they could learn how to end a story. Anyway,
Tell R.R. Martin first.
No, I just love how Joe Manganiello just like does not give a fuck about how much he loves D&D.
he's a cool dude.
No, it makes me so fucking happy because I remember watching. I think it was the same Colbert interview you watched, Brandon, where he was like, "Yeah, originally my wife wanted to turn my Dungeons and Dragons."
His wife, Sofia Vergara.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, originally Sophia wanted to turn it into like a dance studio. I was like, "Nah, babe, I need this for my D&D," and she's like, "Okay, fine."
The last interview I saw, he was still rocking that mohawk from Justice League shoots. I'm like,
Nice.
He's in that movie. That's cool. That's kind of cool. He's cool.
Let's just make a Joe Manganiello appreciation show.